quite a few non-ed, especially down on the south coast. So nice to see them starting to pop up in that cold water. It might just be a precursor to sardine season.
There's been some lovely grunter and shad coming out of the bricks, while the estuary is seeing some small kingies coming out on light tackle.
What a cracker of a fish.
There you go, buddy. Hit now!
This is the Angler News SA podcast. I'm Vanessa Green.
Hey, welcome back. We are on the back of the long weekend and on the back of an absolutely epic week on KZN. Guys, it's been beautiful. Such a variety of species, and that is throughout the entire coastline, as well as in the Midlands. So guys, here's what we've got lined up for you. Let me start off with this. Garrick, out down the lower south coast. That's the sign of good things coming. We've got reports of what's cracking out at Mappa. We've got the reports of the Midlands, where it is going absolutely berserk, apart from one or two species which you are going to be a little confused about, the way I was. But apart from that, the north coast, the south coast of Durban, it has been fireworks. Not just our locals, but as well as the holiday makers. We're getting into the thick of the action. So, as always, we're going to get into it with all our reporters with the latest lowdown of everything that's been going on over this past week. But before we do, guys, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Kingfisher.
The Kingfisher are the leading fishing tackle specialist. We stock gear for every facet of fishing, from carp to cooter, marlin to trout. Basically, everything. We have stores across KZN, from Toti to Salt Rock, Durban to Pietermaritzburg. You can also find us online at kingfisher.co.za.
Thank you, the Kingfisher. Now, guys, just remember, the Kingfisher has an extensive YouTube library, and that is going to be very handy, especially because in this show, we are going to get into such a variety of species. And if you want to know more about those species, or how to bait up for them, or rig a trace for them, or when is the best time to even catch them, well, now's the time to catch them. But if you want to know the others, guys, go to the Kingfisher YouTube channel, and there you'd find a library with all the species and everything you need to know to catch these. All right, let's kick it off in my hometown with Mike V and Brad Krobler.
How's it, guys? It was quite a tough weekend fishing on the coast. Fish popped up certain places and pop up in others. Yeah, if you were at the right spot, you did very well. And if you were in the wrong spot, you went looking for the right spot. Quite a few small sandies were around, a couple of browns, a couple of diamonds, a couple of greys before the sea got a bit topsy-turvy, but those did quite well on the beaches. Quite a few edibles once the sea went a bit funny. I was fished for stumpies and bronze bream, rockcod, things like that, and they did quite well with the scratching fish. They did really well. Guys on the paddle ski and ski boat side did okay. Quite a few snook around on the paddle skis. One or two nice cooter, some big cooter caught as well. A couple of yellowfins here and there. A couple of small marlin pitched up and showed their face as well. So yeah, it was quite a good weekend for the guys that could get out and go have some fun. The bay was a little bit on the quiet side this weekend, strangely enough. A couple of small kingies around, one or two grunters, and that was about the gist of it. Not sure what happened. I think maybe the water just got a little bit too warm. But yeah, let's hope this weekend chills down a bit. We can get some more bite. Guys, this is Mike V for NSA News. Thank you very much.
Good day, guys. It's Brad here from Linsky Fishing Charters. So once again, guys, off the Blue Lagoon all the way to Mswanga, there have been vast amounts of snook happening. On off on some days, but yeah, plenty snook in the shallows. There on the barges and the area, there have been a couple of cooter, but mainly the main cooter have been coming off from Sloty, going down to Westbrook, that rock side. On the bottom fishing side, yeah, guys, the winter fish are starting to come. We're getting some really good Englishmen, some nice soldiers, and some good sized rockies coming out at the moment as well. The game fish side, there are still some Dorado around, but they're not prolific. So it's a lot of time and effort to go for a possibility. So yeah, guys, at the moment, I'd say stick to the inside side. Definitely fishing has been great. This is Brad for Angler News South Africa.
Thank you, Mike and Brad. What a good report of everything coming out of Durban. Such a variety of catches coming out. I absolutely love it. Now, as for the harbor, well, I can vouch for Mike. I fished the harbor on the weekend. It was tough, but you know what? There was that heavy storm, and as we know, once that debris settles or washes out, the fishing is always good. So I have no doubt that is going to pick up very soon. Now, let's move on up to the north coast, where we are with Michaela Daniels, and it's another good positive report. Such amazing catches coming out over there. She's had her ears on the ground. She knows what's happening in every area. This is what's been going on from the north coast.
What's up, everyone? This is Michaela from Durban, reporting for Angler News SA. It's been another absolutely awesome week of fishing along our coast, with many anglers hooking into some prize catches. Starting off at Blue Lagoon, there's been some lovely grunter and shad coming out off the bricks, while the estuary has seen some small kingies coming out on light tackle. For the guys at Beachwood, there's been some shad coming out in the early mornings, while the afternoons have been producing some sharks and ray. Moving up to Virginia, there's been a few shad coming out, as well as a couple of grunter, while for longer anglers, then edibles are still in the bite with the odd shad coming out in between. For Mfloti, our guys have been getting into some nice shad, rockcod, and cave bass, while for the offshore side of things, Durban is still producing some lovely snook and a couple of kuta, while for the bottoms, there's been some lovely rockcod and reds coming out. For Mfloti, however, there's still plenty of snook and a couple of kuta in the shallower bait marks, while the deep has quietened down. There's still a couple of yellowfin tuna that came out over the past week. For the bottoms, the guys are still getting into some lovely rockcod and half cobs. Moving right up the coast to Belito, there's been some lovely sized shad coming out, as well as a few rays, while St. Lucia's still producing some lovely stumpies, rockcards, and GTs. For the offshore side, Belito saw big kuta and a few snook come out over the past week, while St. Lucia is still producing some lovely sized snook, a few kuta, and tailfish. That's going to be it from me for this week, guys. Tight lines and have a great one.
Thank you, Michaela, for that great detail. What an amazing report. So much to get us amped and inspired for the weekend. Now, somewhere else to get inspired about is the Midlands. We've had some crazy weather, but some really good returns coming through. And what about the bass? It's been going on all over the place. Is it happening in the Midlands? Well, guys, here is Jan Carabao reporting from Pietermaritzburg.
Hey there, guys. So pretty much as expected, I dared mention the weather, and it went belly up once again. And the rains returned, and with a vengeance, I might add, with the weekend storms pretty much blowing out what was previously the nice and settling waters. So much so, to the extent that Midmar Dam is back up to full supply level and is pushing over the wall, which is good news for water levels overall, but perhaps not the best news for anglers, and especially over the past long weekend. On the upside, however, anglers that got out before the storms were rewarded with some excellent fishing, which will no doubt return as and when the conditions return to normality once again. And with good water levels this late in the season, it bodes well for some fishing later on. Earlier in the week, with the rivers having fined off from the previous rains, some great fish were reported by the Natal Fly Fishing Club anglers, with returns coming from all three of our premier wild-spawned brown trout rivers, that is the Mgani, Moy, and Bushman's rivers. The fish reported from the Mgani were on the lower end of the tag, in the 3 to 7 inch or 10 to 18 centimeter bracket, with both the Moy and the Bushman's rivers yielding fish in the 9 to 13 inch or 23 to 33 centimeter bracket. There were, however, a couple of excellent fish in the mix, though, as usual. One has to get your line out there to be sure, with the Bushman's giving up a 17 to 19 inch, that is 43 to 48 centimeter fish, and the Moy showing off a fish that taped into the 21 to 23 inch bracket, that is 53 to 58 centimeters. What a cracker of a fish. Water temperatures on the Bushman's were reported at 17 degrees, and post-storm, however, the river was up and wading was deemed treacherous. Prior to the rain, some of the river sections suitable for scaly or yellow fishing were reported to be cleaning up well enough to warrant a drive-by, but the storms put paid to that. The NFFC Still Waters hasn't received much attention over the last week, as a number of the waters were still discoloured from the previous week's rains, and this weekend wouldn't have helped matters. By all reports, however, the storms missed Underberg and further west, which was luckily enough for the splashy fen attendees, and waters that side of fishing, albeit somewhat on the warm side. Social media is full of images of bass from around the country, but I'm not at all sure what has happened to the bass fishing in the Midlands, which was previously a mecca for visiting anglers. Word from the waters this weekend is, however, that there are still numbers of small fish around, which is enough to keep the wee uns excited, but unfortunately nothing to write into the brag book. Sterkfontein Dam has had a most excellent season, reports Jeremy Rochester from Escape Fly Fishing, but will begin to wind down now as water temperatures start to cool. That being said, until there is a drastic change in the current weather patterns, April is still a strong possibility for one to check that tick box. But you need to be there. Guys, do stop in the Kingfisher Maritzburg for the best in tackle advice. And this is Yarabal reporting for Kingfisher and for Angler News South Africa.
Thank you, Jan. What an amazing report. Yeah, what happened to the bass? I have no idea. I really want to still go and get some bass action off those kayaks. And you know what? As we enter the tail end of Sterkfontein, we know we can depend on Jan to keep us in the loop of exactly what's going on. So, great detailed report. More to come through very soon. Watch this space for the Midlands. Now, let's head on back down to the coast. This time it is the South Coast, and we are kicking it off with Ray Thompson, who's sounding very positive and also there to give us a great water report of what's been going on, especially after that storm on Saturday.
There was some epic fishing over the last couple of days due to the lovely weather that we had. Places like Ovo, Carradine, Baba area, even Sprith threw a lot of fish. And I'm talking about grey sharks, brown skates, grunter, and the odd stumpy coming out. Also some small cob as well in the Lova area. Unfortunately, with the rains that we had over the last 2 days and the big sea that we've had, the Lova River has come down and everywhere is brown. The sea is still big, but the good news is, looking forward to Thursday, Friday and Saturday, we've got some lovely weather coming up. So hopefully we can catch some fish on the weekend. Looking good for this weekend's fishing.
Ray, I love it when you sound positive. What an epic report of the action going on down there. And yes, we will be ready for the weekend. All right, now let's move on down to our South Coast guru, who's also got another great report. And you know what I love about it? He is doing it while he is looking at Margate Pier. Now, while we're talking about the South Coast, we know that Garrick just came out. That's a lovely size Garrick down the South Coast. But here's what else is happening. And not just happening on the South Coast, also happening at Mappa Bay. Guys, Adam Lyon.
Hey, Vinesh, I hope you're doing well, my friend, and all the listeners out there had a blessed Easter weekend. It was definitely amazing down in the South Coast, and it was lovely to see family and friends down on the beaches fishing and just enjoying the weather. Now, in terms of the fishing side of things, some anglers were definitely way more than others, and we're going to start off with teal down in Mazeppa. You know, the man just fished really hard, and he got rewarded with absolute thunder-sized fish, a huge duckbill, a really nice-sized thorntail, a good-sized raggy, and an absolute colossal monster-sized grey. So very well done there, my friend. This was our local waters. We've had Nathan getting himself some hound sharks and a hammer. So definitely cold water is around down in the south. We've also had a few sort of edible species from sort of smaller cob to slightly bigger cob, especially in the Port Shepstone area. We've had Mo with a monster-sized rubber lips near Orange Rocks, and we've also had a raggy pop up there as well, Vinesh. Some of the guys definitely got spoiled for choice. Quite a few non-eds, especially down on the south coast. So nice to see them starting to pop up in that cold water. It might just be a precursor to sardine season, Vinesh. I mean, if those big fish are hanging around at Mazeppa because the water's cold, then maybe, just maybe, it's going to be a bit of a thunder sardine run, maybe a thunder run, who knows. So yeah, definitely in terms of fishing, cold water is going to be the theme down here. And I mean, even heading further northwards towards sort of Southport and Sea Park, the guys are getting smaller blacktail, you know, some cave bass and stuff like that, smaller cobbies as well. So it seems that predominantly smaller edible fish are around, and also some decent sized non-eds, especially with this colder water, a bit of sand mixing. So let's see what this new week brings, especially after this long Easter weekend. A few of the guys have gone back home, so our rock should be less crowded, Vinesh. Some of the guys down on the south coast got absolutely spoiled rotten by the Easter bunny. Maybe we don't need that mermaid after all. Otherwise, guys, stay safe, tight lines, and let's see those catches.
Ah, yes, Adam, you absolute legend. Thank you so much for that, guys. We are so fortunate. Our reporters are looking at the ocean while they're bringing us these reports, and it is sounding so good. Who needs that mermaid when he's still getting that fish? Adam, brilliant report. Enough to get us all ready for the weekend. So, guys, like our reporters said, the weather's looking good for the weekend. Yeah, it's looking a bit iffy now at the time of this recording, but from Friday, that water is going to settle and the fishing is going to be on again. So make sure to get out there. You've got enough information to get inspired and get amped and to go and get that fish that's coming on the bite. It's the change of season. We can see those winter species coming in. It's already happening. Make sure you are ready. And with that being said, until the next one.
This is the Angler News SA podcast. I'm Vanessa Green. Find more episodes at ecr.co.za under podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Let's fish for the future.